Hey, welcome to the channel. Today we're going to look at setting up your local workstation for Spark development. We're going to go a bit beyond the basics of Hello World. I'm going to show you how to package a Spark project using Maven, and we'll use the same process we would use on a server. We'll use Spark Submit to run that project. And so let's get started. So we are using this archetype, which is basically a Scala archetype symbol. Okay, let's give a group ID of com.oliver and the artifact ID is spark setup. And you can just press enter for the rest. And let's look at it. There we have it. We go here and look. You can see it's a Maven setup, and you can look at the form, right? So everything has been generated for us. Maybe the Scala version is a bit old, 2.12.6. We can change that later. And it has some good defaults. It's setup test. So next we're going to look at how to get this into your IDE, because I use Vim, but maybe not everybody uses Vim. But it's a cool software. You should look at it. I know that most of you guys will be using either IntelliJ or Eclipse. I'm going to show you this with IntelliJ, but Eclipse is kind of similar. There's just one Maven command you can use to generate an Eclipse project for you, and then you can go about importing it from there. Okay, now let's import this into IntelliJ. I'm going to use import, navigate to wherever you generated the Maven project. Click POM. That's important. You need to select the POM. Everything's fine here. So sometimes IntelliJ does this. It takes its own internal JDK. We don't want that. We want the one that we explicitly installed. So I use OpenJDK 8. You should select that. Next, next. Make sure the same one we selected outside shows up over here. Next. And yes, that's about it. Should be good. Let's just look at the form. So I've already gone ahead and changed the Scala version to 2.12.13 and app. So if we execute this and it works, that would mean our Scala setup is all done. Yep, everything's compiling. Everything is good. So now we can go ahead and add our Spark dependencies in, write some code, make sure Spark is working, and then we'll see how to package it and execute the whole thing with Spark Submit. So I've gone ahead and added the Spark dependency that we need. It's just one dependency. It is the Spark SQL because it's 2021 and that's the way to do it. Everything starts with Spark SQL. So if you understand Maven, Spark SQL is kind of like right at the top and that includes everything. So don't get confused with putting the Spark core and the bunch of different dependencies and you could get lost. Just trust me on this. All you need is the Spark SQL to get started. Now let's move on to the code again. So forget about this code, right? It's like the quintessential Hello World Spark that I never remember how to do. I've copied this from Google and pasted it here. It's not important because when you do in the real world, when you start coding in Spark, you're never going to do something like this, right? You'll probably start reading from an XML file or CSV file or some source like that. This is just for showing you that this works. So the important things to look at over here is these few lines. We start with the Spark session, right? So this is how to create a Spark session. When you start with Spark SQL, it follows the builder pattern. You use this and pay special attention to this master. Now, because as a step one, I'm going to be showing you how to do the execution, how to execute this quickly in your IDE. This master is needed. Later on, once we move into a more production environment and we do a Spark submit, that time we're not going to set this master because we'll set it at the command line. So right now it's needed. And this line is basically just doing a word count. Okay, you can just ignore it. Don't pay any attention to it. We just go ahead and execute. And if it starts doing a lot of stuff, it means it's working, and it has. Yep, yep, yep. Done. And now the output is here. Yep. Word count works. So that's excellent. Let's go ahead and see what happens if I don't have this master in here. Okay, now we'll execute. It's going to complain. Yep, master is not set. So now when you just get started with Spark and you're setting things up, playing around, it's perfectly fine to use this master because you want to, iterate quickly in your ID, see what's working, what's not working. So we need that master in there. Next, we'll see how to package this with Maven, right? So we'll have to take out the master because we don't want to hard code it. We want to pass it from the command line. So the advantage of doing that is when you're running on your local, you can do a Spark submit and you can pass master the exact same way. Local star. So local star essentially means use all the nodes on your machine. But when you go to up to a server and you want to use multiple nodes, so that time again you just with the master switch in the Spark submit command, you can customize it over there. There's no need to hard code it here. Now we're going to look at how to package and build this project with Maven and then do a Spark submit and have it execute. So go to the Maven tab here, click on this big M and execute the command clean package. This will clean the target directory, compile everything, and then package it as a jar file. And it's done. So then what we'll do is we'll quickly shift to this location. So now we are here at the command line. Let us do let's do an LL. So a jar will be in the target folder. We'll do a Spark submit. We have to tell it what the master is. It's going to be local. So when you do this in production, it's not local. You're mostly going to have it as yarn because that's going to be your cluster manager and that'll distribute your code. So while we're doing it on our local machine, it's just going to be local. The next one is the class fully qualified name and then the jar file, which will be in target. That's it. Enter. Should work. Yep. And now let me show you. Yes, it created that folder again. So we carried word count part 0. And there you have it. It's done. We can do the exact same Maven command right here itself. Clean and package. It's exactly the same as doing it in an IDE. So very often when people get started with an IDE, you don't realize that behind under the hood, like behind the scenes, it's all these commands that are running for you. So it's important to know these commands and understand what's happening because when you start setting up your CI/CD pipelines and deploying code in production, there is no ID. You've got to do it with scripts, and understanding this is going to help you. So as you see, it's built it at the exact same location, so we can execute with the Spark submit. This time it should fail because we already have that folder there. And yes, it did fail. So that's about it. Hope you like this video. Like, share, and subscribe.